Welcome to the FMI training video for the walk around of the CRJ200. In this video, we're going to do a complete walk around. We're going to walk around the aircraft and I'm going to show you the important things that you need to be looking at and paying attention to on each one of your walk arounds. Alright, you ready to begin? Let's get started. Okay, one thing very important when we're doing our walk around, we need to make sure that we have our safety vest on. Okay, our safety vest needs to be on every time we do a walk around. Also, if the APU is running, it's important to have some earplugs, okay? The APU is loud, safety is important, so it's important to have earplugs and your safety vest on. First thing that we're going to look at is we're going to look at the exit door. And on the exit door, I want you to inspect a few different things, okay? We're going to look at the general condition of the stairs. We're going to look up above, you'll see the cams. Those are the things all the way at the top of the doorway. You're going to come down over here, you're going to look at the pins, right here. Then you'll come down over here, you look at the rotary latches. Okay, you have a couple on this side, you have a couple on that side. We're going to look at the condition of these cables right here. We're going to, if the handrail is up, if it's not attached to a jet bridge, the handrail will be up. If the handrail is up, make sure the handrail pins right here are installed correctly. And then just take a general look. Look at the door seal. Everything on this one looks to be in good condition. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and look right to the left of the main exit. You're going to see the emergency exit light and the standby static port. Make sure there's no damage, no cracks over here to the emergency exit light. And the static port I want you to pay attention to. Sometimes when they're storing the plane, they'll put tape over the static port, okay? Make sure there's no tape over it, make sure it's not blocked or covered. Now we're gonna go ahead, come a little bit to the left, you're gonna see the AOA vane, okay? The AOA vane, you're just inspecting it, you're also making sure there's no cover on there. Again, this is another one of those things, when they store the plane, they can put a cover on the AOA vane. The AOA vane and the standby pitot tube. Make sure there's no cover on the standby pitot tube. Okay. Now let's walk a little bit further to the nose. A little bit further to the nose, we're going to see the ice detector, and we're going to see the main pitot tube. Again, what you're looking for is to make sure there's no covers on either of these items, okay? Make sure there's no covers or there's no damage. Okay. Next, right over here in this area, you're going to see this rectangle that's marked off by these 4 gray markings, okay? Inside this whole area, this is called the RVSM area. In the RVSM area, you have to make sure there's no damage, okay? There's no dents, there's no cracks, there's no chips. You gotta make sure that area is very nice and clean with no damage. Okay, next, we're looking a little bit forward. You're gonna see the forward avionics door. Look at these latches, make sure they're latched. You're gonna see the radome. Look at this latch, make sure it's latched. Next, we're going to come down here. I'm going to inspect the nose wheel landing gear from this angle. I'm going to be looking at the nose wheel landing gear from several different angles. My first angle is right here. Let's inspect. Okay. Now on the nose wheel landing gear, I want to inspect a few things. I want to look at the condition of the tires, okay? The steering actuators, the springs, the rear door, the torque links. I'm inspecting all of these things, looking for any problems or damage, and looking at the general condition. Okay, now from the nose of the plane, we're going to look at a couple of things. We're going to start up at the top. I want you to look at the condition of the windshields, okay? Look at the condition of the windshield. Look at the windshield wiper blades. Make sure the windshield wipers are in the parked position. Next, come down. Look at the nose of the plane. Look at the radome. Then right below the radome, you're going to come over here. You're going to look at the nose lights. Check the nose lights. Come down. Inspect the nose wheel landing gear again from this angle. Next, we're going to come over to this angle. Okay. We're going to look at the forward avionics door latches again over here. We're going to look at the ADG door. Make sure it's closed and flush. The radome latch on this side. Then we're going to come over here and inspect the oxygen. Next, we're going to come over to this angle, okay? We're going to look at the forward avionics door latches, again over here. We're going to look at the ADG door. Make sure it's closed and flush. The radome latch on this side. Then we're going to come over here and inspect the oxygen. Okay, next thing we're going to do, we're going to look at the external service panel. This is called the external service panel. We're going to open this up, and we're going to open up the nose gear. Okay? Inspect the nose wheel door. We'll look for the gear pin. Then we'll come down here. We'll look at the AC door. Make sure that this is closed and latched. Okay, now just like on the other side, we're going to be inspecting the RVSM area in between these gray markings. We're going to look at the main pitot tube. Make sure there's no cover on it. Make sure it's not damaged. Look at the ice detector. Make sure there's no cover on it, no damage. Now let's move a little bit further back, okay? Over here you have the TAT probe. Make sure there's no cover on it, it's not damaged. Another AOA vane. Inspect the AOA vane, no covers. Another standby static port. Make sure there's no cover on it, there's no tape on it, it's not blocked. Okay, now let's inspect the service door. The service door, we're just making sure that it's closed, make sure that it's latched properly. Come right below the service door, right here, you have an oxygen blowout plug. Make sure the oxygen blowout plug is not popped out. Make sure it's in and flush. Come to the left side of the service door, you'll see the service door emergency exit light. Make sure that that's not damaged. Check the potable water service door, make sure that that is closed. Come over here, look at the hot water drain. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come underneath the airplane. I want to look at a couple different things. We already looked at the hot water drain mast. I'm going to inspect these antennas. I'm going to come over here. This is the avionics bay door. I'm going to make sure it's closed and latched properly. Then I'm going to look back here. I'm going to look at the beacon. Make sure it's not broken or cracked. Now we're moving along. We have our fuel panel. It's our refuel and defuel panel door. Make sure it's closed and latched. Okay. This is the refuel and defuel adapter door. Make sure it's closed and latched properly. Now, of course, sometimes when you're doing your walk around, they will be fueling the plane and those will be open. Still inspect them for damage. Just make sure they're in good condition. Okay, now let's go ahead and look at the wing inspection light. Look at the wing inspection light. Look at the emergency exit, making sure that it's closed properly, that it's flush. Then we're inspecting the emergency exit lights. You have one on the left, two on the right. Inspect them, make sure there's no damage. Okay, now let's look at the main landing light and the recog light. Let's inspect these, make sure there's no damage to either of these. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go underneath the wing. I want to inspect the main landing gear from this angle, alright? Come on, let's take a look at a couple things underneath the wing. Underneath the wing, this is a dust cover, okay? This is where the gear pin goes. Make sure the dust cover is there. The main landing gear bay door. The gear actuator. Look at the condition of the tires. Okay, now what I'm inspecting is I'm looking at the leading edge of the wing, okay? I want to make sure there's no dents in the leading edge of the wing. I come over here, I look at the de-ice exhaust ports, okay? Make sure there's no problems with de-ice exhaust ports. Look underneath the wing. Come above the wing, okay? Above the wing, I'm going to look at this fuel cap, make sure it's closed properly. I'm just going to continue looking at the condition of the wing. Okay, now what I'm inspecting is I'm looking at the navigational light, okay? Most of the time when you're doing your walk around, the APU will be running and the nav light will be on. Right now, for the purpose of this video, the airplane is off. That's why it's off right now. And most of the time the nav light will be on. Make sure that it's illuminated correctly. Look at your winglet over here. Inspect the static wicks. You have static wicks on the winglet, on the wing itself, and even on the aileron. Make sure that all the static wicks are in place. Okay, now what I'm doing is I'm inspecting the control surfaces, okay? We have our aileron, our flaps, spoileron, spoilers. I'm looking at the condition of all the control surfaces, making sure there's no damage or any problems. Underneath the wing right here, we can see the NACA vent. I'm inspecting the NACA vent, making sure that it's not blocked. Okay, from this angle, I want you to inspect a few things. We're looking at the condition of the tires again, okay? Make sure the tires are in good condition. Make sure there's no bald spots, there's no threads showing. Take a look at the conditions of the brakes, okay? Make sure there's no brake fluid that's dripping out. Make sure there's no damage. Then come over here and take a close look at the rear indicator pins. You have one right here, you have one right here. Make sure there's still some good rear indicator pin sticking out, so we know that the brake pads are still in good working condition and good service. Okay, now a note about the rear indicator pins that you should know. In order to get a really accurate reading of the rear indicator pins, a couple conditions must be met. The airplane must be powered, the hydraulics must be on, and the parking brake must be set. Why? Because when you do this and you have the hydraulics powered and you set the parking brake, then the calipers are going to go ahead and engage, right? And the rear indicator pin is going to move a little bit. So to get the most accurate reading, you want to make sure that the hydraulics are powered and the parking brake is set. Now let's inspect some of the doors on this side. Let's look at the toilet service door, the low pressure air door, the potable water service and drain door, and come over here and look at the DC door. Make sure they're all closed and latched properly. Okay, now we're inspecting the engine. On the engine, there's a few things I want you to inspect. First, look inside the engine in this angle, okay? You look at the cowling, look inside the engine. Up there at the 11 o'clock position, you're going to see the T-tube probe. Inspect the T-tube probe. Look at the fan blades. Make sure there's no damage. And walk over here. You're going to look at the anti-ice blowout plug. Look at the anti-ice exhaust. Come over here. Inspect the jet pipe. Look at the drain mast. And lastly, look inside the jet pipe. Okay. Again, most of the time when you're doing your walk around, the APU will be running, okay? If the APU is running, make sure you have your earplugs in, okay? And second of all, make sure you respect the 15 feet around the APU exhaust, okay? So when you're inspecting these items, make sure you're at least 15 feet around the exhaust of the APU. But from here, we're going to look at the APU exhaust, we're going to look at the ACM exhaust. Okay, now we're inspecting the tail of the plane. On the tail of the plane, I want you to pay attention to a couple things. Okay? I want you to look at the vertical stabilizer. Look at the rudder. Look at the horizontal stabilizer. Look at the elevator. Look at all the static wicks on these control surfaces. Then you're going to be looking at these beacons and strobe lights. Make sure that they're in good condition, they're not cracked or broken. From the rear of the airplane, we're looking at a couple things back here. Okay? One of the important things I want to look at back here is the aft equipment bay. Okay? Make sure the door is closed and it's latched properly. Then just take a quick look underneath the airplane, under hot water drain mast. Everything from this side of the plane, we have a couple things that are unique. Okay? We have another ACM exhaust, or the left pack exhaust, and we have the APU cooling inlet. Just inspect these, look inside, make sure there's nothing in there, make sure it's not blocked. Then come over here, you have the cabin pressure ground air supply door, make sure it's closed and latched properly, and then check your cargo door. Make sure that, okay, there's no damage. As far as the left engine goes, the engine, the drain mast, the blowout plug, the cowling, the T2 probe inside, the fans, all this is the same as the other side, okay? There's no difference. We're just inspecting all these items, taking a look. We're gonna come down here, inspect the brakes, just as we did the other side. There's no fluid. Check the wear indicator pins, check the condition of the tires. Come up here, inspect your flaps, your spoilers. Your ailerons, spoileron, static wicks, winglet, navigation light, leading edge, fuel cap, come under the plane. Just as we did the other side, you're checking the gear actuator, the dust cover, the main landing gear, the doors. Everything looks good. Okay, now we're finishing up. Look at the emergency exit door, the emergency exit lights, 2 on the left, 1 on the right, wing inspection light, and I think we're complete. That completes our walk around video of the CRJ200. Hope you enjoyed it, hope you learned something, hope you take something away from it. We'll see you.